Welcome to RearView TV. This is where we look backward, not to stay in the past, but to understand how the present was built. We're often told the system is broken, that it's failing, that it needs fixing. But tonight, we ask a different question. What if the system is working, just not for us? Oppression doesn't begin by silencing people, it begins by outliving their memory. Across Africa, the Caribbean, and Black communities globally, history was interrupted, not erased, but fragmented. Languages discouraged, stories simplified, education redesigned, not to inform, but to disconnect. Because memory creates comparison, and comparison creates resistance. This is why elders are ignored, why archives are buried, why history is called the past instead of context. They told us to move on, but never told us where we were moving from. When a generation remembers too much, the system has to work harder, so it waits. Maps look neutral, but they never are. Red lines decide who gets investment. Trade routes decide who gets prosperity. Borders decide who belongs and who is managed. From colonial borders in Africa to redlining in American cities, entire futures were planned without consent. You weren't lost, you were excluded, because inclusion would require redistribution, and redistribution has never been accidental. What if the system is working? What if the system isn't broken? What if it's working exactly as designed? We keep asking, why is it failing us? Because there's a harder question we avoid. What if it's succeeding, just not for us? Prisons don't fail, they generate profit. Wars don't fail, they secure contracts. Foreign aid doesn't fail, it produces dependency. And surveillance doesn't fail, it tightens control. These outcomes aren't accidents. They repeat because they are rewarded. So ask yourself, who designed this system? Who benefits from its results? And who is always left paying the cost? Because Black communities don't appear at the top of these outcomes. We appear at the bottom of the balance sheet. So maybe the problem isn't corruption, maybe it's consistency. Systems don't survive for centuries by mistake. If the same results keep appearing, they are not errors, they are features. The system doesn't need everyone to succeed. It only needs enough people to believe their failure is personal. Because if it were truly broken, it wouldn't work this well. Control doesn't always arrive with force. Sometimes it arrives with delay. Delayed justice, delayed reform, delayed aid, delayed recognition. Nothing is denied. It's just never delivered. Delay doesn't shock people, it drains them. Urgency fades, energy thins out. Outrage becomes exhaustion. People don't stop resisting because they agree. They stop because waiting becomes a lifestyle. And when waiting lasts long enough, it starts to feel normal. No trials, no accountability, no closure, just time being taken quietly. Because delay has an advantage, force doesn't. Force creates martyrs, delay creates compliance. Violence creates headlines, delay creates silence. If you delay long enough, people don't ask when anymore, they ask if. And eventually, they stop asking at all. That's the quietest form of control, not oppression you can point to, but a future that never arrives. If violence creates martyrs, delay creates compliance. If censorship sparks outrage, confusion breeds silence. Because when nothing is clear, nothing is challenged. This isn't conspiracy. It doesn't require secrecy. It's structure, and structure doesn't need to explain itself. It just keeps standing long after people stop asking why it was built that way. So maybe the system isn't failing. Maybe it's doing exactly what it was designed to do, producing outcomes that repeat, protecting interests that endure, and placing the cost in the same hands again and again. The real question isn't whether it works. The question is, who was it built to work for? History doesn't end when the video does. If this made you rethink what broken really means, don't rush past that feeling. Sit with it. Because understanding doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrives quietly, after the noise fades. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe to RearView TV. This is where we remember what was overlooked, question what was accepted, and look back so we can finally see clearly. Thanks for watching. This is RearView TV, and your host today is Nadia.